How are you? You well?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing? It's great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you as always. And yeah, you go again. Do you know what? It seems like it's been forever, Katie, with
I
you
know,
boxing. I
honestly.
mean, you
Yeah,
go back to 2016 when you made that debut.
yeah,
What you've achieved in that time is quite incredible for not just for yourself, but for women's boxing, women's sport. It's been
mm.
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Spencer. But yeah, the first time I sent Eddie Hearn a message, I never thought I'd be in this position right now, fighting on Netflix on a Mike Tyson undercard. This is incredible, and never in a million years did I think I was going to be fighting on the undercard of a Mike Tyson show. So
Uh,
here we are. It's incredible, and it's been
I was
an
going to ask you about that. Like, I
yeah,
mean, we all sort of grew up watching Mike Tyson and sort of
yeah,
like, I mean, he's like a boxing icon.
yeah.
But did I think we would see Mike Tyson boxing
Yeah, I,
still, at the age of 58 and
yeah,
going into these big
yeah,
fights? It must be like a dream for you to box on his
yeah.
undercard.
It's an absolute dream. When initially when this fight with Jake Paul was announced on Netflix, I was thinking that's a card I actually want to be on. I'd love to be on that card, and to get the call a few weeks later to say that I was going to be on the card with Serrano, that was a dream come true for me. And
Yeah.
not just because I'm on a Mike Tyson undercard, but this is the rematch that I always wanted as well, and to fight a year contender. There's so much talk and hype after that first fight, and we get a chance to do it again. This is just a
Yeah,
great
I mean,
sport.
we go back to 2022, Madison Square Garden, the first all-female bout to
Yeah,
headline there. You
yeah,
girls sold it out, smashed all records, and produced an absolute barnstorm, a
yeah,
fight of the year there.
yeah,
Expecting the same again. I mean, this time we go into an even bigger stadium, unbelievable.
yeah,
The
yeah,
AT&T Stadium
yeah,
in Arlington in Texas. I mean,
yeah.
are we expecting a similar sort of fight with you two?
I'd say so. I think stylistically our matchups just match up well, I guess. And she's obviously a come forward fighter. She likes to make the fights exciting. I'm more of a boxer, but it's obviously you can get drawn to a bit of a tear up every now and then as well. So it's just stylistically it matches up well.
Mm.
I think I'm probably a small bit different than it was 2 years ago. I feel like I'm a more improved fighter. She probably feels like she's improved as well over these last 2 years. So it is going to be an interesting rematch. But I think just how we are mentally and stylistically, it is going to be an epic fight.
I mean, you talk about that being a boxing purist, which you are, and that's what took you to the Olympic gold medal in 2012. But you also love to get drawn into a fight. Like,
Yeah,
no matter, I've
I
seen you
know.
so many times, I've been live so many
Yeah,
times. The Brazilian fights come
yeah.
to mind, and Amanda Serrano, the first one, and you just see them. And at some point, you just like, yeah, you really enjoy that part of it, don't you?
I think it's probably the most enjoyable part, one of the most enjoyable parts of boxing as well. But at the same time, I realize it's not the smartest move neither. And sometimes it's not even, I'm not thinking about it. I just fight fire with fire sometimes. And um, but I definitely need to be a bit more disciplined, I think, in those moments. And I'm sure when you look at me getting drawn into a fight, you're thinking, "What are you doing, Katie?" Just boxing the outside, and I definitely feel like I have to be a bit probably a bit more focused on that and be a bit more disciplined in those moments.
But do you feel instinctively though, Katie, like I'm speaking as an ex-fighter now as well, like instinctively, sometimes you feel that that's the only way that you have to do it. Like sometimes it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, like on the surface it looks great and you should be keeping it long, but sometimes you just have to get drawn into a fight. And I suppose that's what
yeah,
makes great fighters.
exactly. That's exactly how I feel. It's not as if I'm thinking about it. Just naturally, instinctively, you're standing there fighting, and you feel like that's what you have to do to win the fight.
Mm.
I can obviously box, but sometimes it's hard to move for 10 rounds as well. So it's hard to stay on the outside to move constantly. Sometimes it's probably a lot easier to stand there and fight. But it's but that's the great thing about boxing, isn't it? You're getting these matchups. You're seeing who's going to come out on top, and one punch can change a fight. It's that this is the most exciting sport because of all that.
It really is, and it's the most exciting female boxing match out there right now. Is you and Amanda Serrano. The first one was unbelievable. Can't wait for this one. I want to
Yeah,
talk to you about the main event as well. Mike Tyson mentioned there, like, what a dream come true.
Yeah.
He got his undercard against Jake Paul. Firstly, what do you make of the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously have my concerns as well, just like everybody else. I absolutely love Mike Tyson. He's everybody's hero in the sport, isn't he? He's an icon, legend in the sport, and I just don't want to see him losing to Jake Paul. I just really respect Mike as such as a fighter and what he's done for the sport. And there's just nobody like him as a heavyweight. He walked into the ring with his aura. It's just he's a black towel around him. No music sometimes. It's just those kind of fighters are just different, I think. And but then you have this young YouTuber guy, Jake Paul, who's an amazing businessman. He's improved so much as a fighter as well. He's a good athlete. He's young and fresh, and I just don't want I don't want him to hurt Mike Tyson. I don't want him to beat Mike Tyson, and I want Mike Tyson to come out obviously victorious just because of the respect I have of him as a fighter.
Yeah, I think that as an ex-fighter as well, we all think that, don't we? Because Mike Tyson is not just an ex-great champion, but he's a boxing icon. You just
Exactly.
sit there and you go, like, with this
Yeah.
whole big Paul thing going on, and you got to respect Jake. He's like, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
he's done an incredible job to
Yeah.
get to where he's got to now. But you
Absolutely.
go, what would you think, Katie? Like, Jake Paul beats Mike Tyson, our boxing hero. It's like it's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it?
It's a very tough pill to swallow. It's nearly like a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul, I think, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
not going to
absolutely.
get he's not going to get much credit for it because now Mike Tyson's 58 years old. But just how iconic Mike Tyson is, and
Mm,
you're right that Jake Paul has done so well for himself, and he's actually improving as a fighter as well. You can see those improvements. You can see that he's working hard in the gym, and he's got a bit of a punch. And it's funny, a few years ago when Jake Paul was initially on one of these cards, I was thinking, what's this guy doing fighting on a card?
mm.
I was nearly so critical of him fighting on this bit on a big stage like this, getting this opportunity. But here he is, a few years later. He's one of the biggest names in the sport, and he's done so well for himself. It's amazing.
Mm. I mean, Mike Tyson's doing this, making a return. The legend returns. What do you make of legends returning into the sport of boxing as well? You know, we see a lot of them now taking these exhibitions, etc. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I seen obviously Mike Tyson against Roy Jones a few years ago as well, and I don't want these fights to kind of tarnish their legacy or their career. That's what I feel like I'm worried that these fights are going to tarnish their career, and they're going to be remembered for these kind of fights. And so you look at Roy Jones, his prime, he's the best of all time probably in his prime, and he took a few late fights that he shouldn't have probably taken, and maybe that's what people need to remember of him. But
Mm.
I just don't want these kind of fights to tarnish their legacy.
Exactly. I mean, it's difficult for boxers. You see some of these boxers, Amanda Holyfield comes to mind as well.
Yeah,
You know, like, if they would have stopped at a certain point, Roy Jones, who I'm doing a show with actually out in the Cayman Islands this week, but he's a lovely guy. And like,
yeah,
he talks about his career, and you say, like, I always say to him, Roy, if you would have then stopped when you won that world
yeah,
heavyweight title against
yeah,
Andy,
exactly. Yeah,
it would have been the greatest of all time, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he was the greatest of all time in his prime, wasn't he? He's
Yeah.
unbelievable to watch.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure. I mean, look, Katie, you've been a pro now for a long time. 2016, like I mentioned, you've been there, seen it, done it. Undisputed lightweight champion, undisputed super lightweight champion. Amazing fights with Chantel Cameron. I mean, what left is there to achieve for you? Like, you had this Amanda Serrano fight. I know you won't really think too far past that, but have you got any other goals in the sport? Is there anything else that you're sort of striving to achieve?
I think there's definitely big fights out there for me if I wanted to, but I obviously take it fight by fight at this stage, and I know that I'm at the end of my career as well. And this has been an amazing journey, but I would love to have the Cameron trilogy. It's obviously one each between the two of us, and I wouldn't like to end it like that. I would love to
Mm.
get the trilogy and to see who comes out on top there. That's definitely a fight out that I would absolutely love to have. But right now I can only think about Amanda Serrano, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah,
Yeah, I totally understand
yeah,
that. I was going
yeah,
to lead into that question. I mean, because they were two unbelievable fights,
yeah.
one apiece, rubber match, the third one. Saudi Arabia, what would you think about boxing out there? Is that something that you would love to think? I mean, that sort of fight you could see surely landing somewhere like that. What's your thoughts on Saudi and boxing?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that these big fights are happening now because of what's happening out there. But the atmosphere seems to be very strange out there as well, isn't it? So it's not the same as having these fights in the UK or America. But I think the fact that the best are fighting the best is absolutely amazing for the sport.
Sure,
I love the fact that these big fights are happening right now. But
sure.
yeah, I'd be very open to any idea of fighting wherever, if it's in Ireland, if it's in America, Saudi, it doesn't really matter to me. But
Mm.
I just want to be in these big fights, and wherever they land, I don't really care.
Sure. All right, brilliant. Listen, just before I let you go, I have to ask you about Kelly Harrington. You was
Yeah,
out there for the Olympics. She was amazing. Won that
yeah,
second gold medal, which was an amazing moment
yeah.
for Ireland. She decided to retire. Do you think that's the right decision?
Well, I guess that's up to her, really. I think
Yeah.
she's had an amazing amateur career and a two-time Olympic champion. I thought she's probably the best female fighter in both Olympics, to be quite honest. Absolutely
Mm,
so special. And to end your career on top is amazing as well. So, that's obviously down to her. Whether I don't think she probably had no desire to turn pro or whatever. And we're not too sure where amateur boxing is going in the Olympics next as well. It's very, very
mm.
sad that the prospect of not having boxing in the next Olympics will be sickening for the sport. It's terrible. But I was just so proud of watching Kelly during those both Olympics. It brought so much pride to the country, and she was masterful in every single fight, and the best fighter of the Olympics for me in both.
Sure,
Mm,
sure. Well, Katie, listen, we were all so proud watching you box. I
yeah,
mean, you've been amazing for women's boxing. You've really transformed that. And, we're looking forward to this fight at the AT&T Centre
yeah,
in Arlington, November the 15th. Another
yeah,
classic fight, I'm sure. And yeah, let's go and get that win.
yeah. Thanks so much, Spencer. Are you going to be there, by the way?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
amazing.
So I can't wait. So we'll catch
Yeah,
up out there as well. But
thanks
I'm really
so
looking
much,
forward to that.
Spencer. Yeah, you too.
Brilliant,
Thanks a lot.
Katie. Best of luck, and I'll catch you. I'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.